Hey everyone, and welcome to Standing for Truth. The talk of the town right now is about how the moon got its craters. This topic arose between Dr. Dino, or Ken Hovind, and Pastor Anderson in a discussion they recently had. We have multiple theories, but we're going to be focusing specifically on the two positions that they each hold. That is, the moon got its craters from ejection debris from the earth during Noah's flood. This is the position Ken Hovind holds, and we are going to be taking a look at his model, including the canopy, and then showing the actual numbers of what it would take to achieve this. Then, we are going to be looking at Pastor Anderson's view, which is that the moon, like the earth, was made mature and just looks old. So let's jump right into this. First, we're looking at the Hovind Theory, a model presented decades ago and made into a DVD. Let us take a look at the specifics of his model right now, starting in Genesis.
And then, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month and the 17th day of the month, the fountains of the great deep broke forth, and the windows of heaven were opened. These two events occurring began the first day of a series of events that changed the history of Earth and mankind itself. Giant rifts or tears ran thousands of miles across the planet. This is where the fountains of the great deep broke forth, jetting it into the atmosphere, along with massive amounts of stones and debris from the Earth's crust. All of these things would have been bombarding the canopy that surrounded the Earth, reflecting them back into the Earth's surface, causing even more destruction and turmoil, until eventually one of the projectiles would be strong enough to fracture and break apart the firmament. And the water fell back to the earth as intense global rain. The moon itself bears witness of this, yet what faces us shows clear evidence of bombardment from the very projectiles shot out from the earth during the flood. And also consider the canopy was only 9 miles up, not 60 where the top of the atmosphere is today. So the numbers that people were throwing around is all moot. And in reality, the numbers actually do show that they can be shot up 60 miles.
Next, the largest craters on the moon have high, steep walls that should not be like this if these impacts occurred eons ago. We see little deformation, which means that these craters appear very young. We see that there's a unique pattern, which tells us a story. Recently, we have discovered that most earthquakes occur on this side of the moon that is facing us. These quakes caused lava flow to darken much of the facing side of this moon as well. So not only did the larger impacts from the Earth form these giant basins very recently, but their impact energy melted the rock below, which generated lava flow, which expanded the moon's radius by a small degree. So the question is then, why should the facing side of the moon have so many more large, giant impact features, but not the far side? The Hovind Theory answers that by saying if the impacts that produced them and the volcanic features on the near side of the moon, then the large lunar impacts were most likely launched rapidly from the Earth in a single day. Think about it. If the meteor impacts occurred slowly, coming from all directions over eons of time, why would it leave such a disproportionate pattern? But if the impacts occurred rapidly from one direction, it better explains the pattern that we see. Next, we are going to take a look at the apparent age view that Pastor Anderson holds. This is the idea that when God created the heavens and the earth and the entire universe itself, it holds an apparent age of being old. So just as Eve walked up to a mature tree to eat from a mature fruit that was only created days prior, Adam also looked up at the stars and the moon itself, which also looked as though they have been there for eons of time, even though they were just created days prior. This view is in complete contrast to Kent Hovind's Young Earth Creation view, which states that there are ways to determine age, and many things which put a limit to that age, as where the apparent age view would take away any ability to directly measure or answer any possible way of telling the age of the Earth or the universe itself. Next, the evolutionary idea is that the moon obtained these craters from meteor impacts over eons of time. So the question is there another option? I say yes, there is actually, and I would like you to consider an alternative as well, because that's what we're supposed to do, consider everything. And some of the new information shows that the moon actually got its craters from within. That's right, we now have evidence that the moon used to have active tectonic plate movement, and that volcanic activity was present. So what you are looking at right now is not an impact crater. That's right, even though it looks just like one. This is actually from an underground volcano known on Earth as a maar. Look how large this is, and it looks like a massive impact crater. It's one of the largest on the moon, yet it is not from an impact. So therefore, how many of these other large impact-looking craters are not from impacts? Well, just like on Earth, a lot of what we thought were fossilized meteor impacts are actually underground volcanoes as well, including the asteroid that supposedly killed off the dinosaurs. It's actually an underground volcano. And if you would like to see evidence for that, check out this video here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to give a thumbs up and hit subscribe for more.